Today on Live, we have details from that Angelo State University robbery. A flash flood warning is in effect for Tom Green County for another hour. And week 2 of high school football starts with Cover 1 right here. I'm Yantis Green, and this is Live. Today's news is brought to you by Myers Drug. Ladies, where can you get footwear that is not only comfortable but stylish? Booties are popular now because, as the ladies say, they're really cute and comfortable too. Myers Drug and Boutique has Blowfish, Malibu, and Very G brand booties in all styles, sizes, and colors in stock now. New versions of booties are arriving almost daily. Myers Drug is more than just a drugstore. It is the best gift shop anywhere, and it's open 9 to 6 daily and Saturday 10 to 2. Myers Drug is located in the center of historic downtown San Angelo at the corner of Beauregard and Chadbourne, or you can check them out on the web at myersdrug.com. Also in news, 6 Angelo State University football players have been arrested for a robbery, the robbery of a student on campus. According to court documents, DeKeon Hammond, Camarion Kirkwood, Roy Morris, Brenton Frizzell, Stilton McElvey, and Michael Murphy were seen on camera on August 26th at 7:30 p.m. At the same time, security footage shows the victim leaving the outdoor basketball slab carrying a backpack, LeBron Nike shoes, and a basketball. The victim met the suspects in a parking lot on campus where they attacked him by punching and kicking him in the head and torso. According to reports, the suspects were also seen on security footage in possession of that backpack and the basketball. San Angelo Live has reached out to Angelo State University for a statement, but no comment was made other than this is an ongoing investigation and we cannot provide additional comments. Thank you. The 6 suspects were all Angelo State University football players, and they have been suspended from the program. This is a developing story, and for updates, go to sanangelolive.com. Also, since last week, right up until midnight, we've had nearly 2.5 inches of rain. That was, again, as of midnight today. Currently, there is a flash flood warning until 5:30 p.m. Since then, the rain has they've dumped another 1 to 2 inches since the rain has started. We've had a number of calls for water rescues, especially in the eastern part of San Angelo. Remember, when the rain comes down like this, this fast, low water areas will fill up in a hurry. The safest thing you can do if you can't see the roadway is turn around, don't drown. Of course, more on the weather and the flooding at sanangelolive.com. As for the Labor Day weekend, it looks like there will be some scattered light rain will continue, particularly on Saturday. More rainfall chances Saturday afternoon around 3 or 4 p.m. Sunday, it's looking like the rain will stop long enough so you can get out to the lake or the pool one last time. And it's week 2 of Texas high school football. Last week we had some winners and we had some losers. This week teams will be getting down and dirty in the rain, and our Cover 1 crew of Matt Trammell and James Bouligny gets you ready for Friday night right after this short message from Tiemann Investments.
I've always known that I wanted to be a teacher. I wanted to help students maximize their potential. It's something that I'm good at. But planning for my financial freedom, that's something I leave for a professional.
That's why I chose to team up with the advisors at Tiemann Investments.
They not only understand me and my goals, but they understand the market, what's important now and in the future. They provided world-class advice right where I am, here in West Texas.
Connect with Tiemann Investments to visualize your financial dreams.
All right, it's that time of the week again. It's week 2 of the Texas high school football season. We got a lot of games today. It's Cover 1. We are glad that you guys are watching. James, I'm going to bring you in. Tell me, how's your week been?
My week has been great. I have been compiling stats all week. I've been talking to coaches all week. We have a full show for y'all today. And why don't we just get started right into it, Matt?
All All right, so I know that the one thing that everyone has been talking about all week long has been, what has it been, James? It's been the Central Bobcats. The San Angelo Central Bobcats lost their Week 1 matchup against Colleen Shoemaker. Everyone has been talking about this game. It's Central's first home game of the season. They're playing El Paso Montwood. I mean, it's going to be a really good game. James, what do you think are some of the key things to look for if you're talking about the Central Bobcats tonight?
I think they need to lean on that defense. Last week, Montwood gave up over 500 yards of offense just rushing to the Midland Bulldogs. So if you're Central, Tyler Hill, Brawley, Barron, they need to take advantage of this run defense and gouge them. And those receivers need to be ready to block too. You had Jacob English out there. He needs to be ready to catch it. I'm not too sure about their passing game. They didn't do a whole lot of passing last week. But Matt, why don't you take over?
One thing that I think that Central does have a good thing this year is they know how to score points. You know, if they didn't lose last week because one, they weren't ready to score, or two, they didn't have what they needed to score. I mean, that Colleen Shoemaker game, you know, Colleen this year was fast, dude. I mean, that team was fast. They were ready to go. And that Central Bobcat team was still able to score a lot of points. So I think going into this one, it's going to be, for me at least, a big matchup for them to show how dominant they can be, because last week, a little Southwest Conference team, the Midland High Bulldogs, they put it on them. James, you know what that score was?
I think it was, I can pull it up right now.
It was a lot. I think
it was 56-28.
Yeah, 56-28. So that Midland High school, that Midland High team was able to put 68 points on the Rams. So maybe we see Central get their first win tonight. What are you thinking, James?
I believe so. I think they're going to lean on that defense. As far as the secondary, they need to lock down some pretty good receivers. You've got Gio Valara and Diego Oaxaca. They put up almost 240 yards and 3 touchdowns last week on Midland. So your defensive backs, corner safeties, you got to be ready to play.
Definitely. Okay, what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to go ahead and bring in our picks for this game. As you can see, it's all across the board. Sick'em Cats. Everybody in town thinks that this team has what it takes. Of course, if you've been around in the last 20 minutes in San Angelo, you know it is pouring down rain right now. So we're going to see some flooded conditions that may get away in some of the passing offense that Central likes to do, but they do like to have those little short screen plays, and that's kind of their bread and butter. So those are still, you know, pretty reliable in the rain. I think personally that this is just going to be one of those not warm-up games, but tune-up games for the Bobcats to kind of boost their confidence a little bit and show that they can roll a team.
Yeah, if Montwood's not going to step up on defense, you might just have a ground-and-pound game all night.
Yeah, absolutely, and they have the guys to do it because even if you talk about, you know, Tyler Hill's amazing with his arm, but when it needs to be those games where they can grind it out, I know for a fact that we've seen in the past of Tyler Hill being able to run that rock.
Yeah, they need to move. They need to just kill Montwood tonight, and I wouldn't take my foot off the pedal at all. I would keep it up and put it on them real good and give your team a real morale booster heading into the next week.
Yeah, if I was them, I'd probably set the line at like Central about 14 or so. I think they're going to win this game by 2 touchdowns. If not, well, that's okay. Either way, I think they're going to get the dub.
Absolutely.
All right, moving on to our next game, James. This is going to be another one of those 6A battles, except for this one is coming out of the Permian. You know, we always have a Permian game every week. Last week we showed y'all Midland Legacy. This week, the Permian Panthers. That's right. Permian Panthers are going against the Waco Midway Panthers. Permian's coming off a win last week against a good
Abilene team.
Abilene team. High. So, man, this team is good. This team is just like every Permian team in the past. They play really good defense. They're really hard nosed. They're not gonna throw the ball a lot. When they do, it's really effective. But their main thing is they're gonna run the rock right down your throat. James, what is something that you've seen from just things you've researched all week? What was something interesting that you kind of picked up about this game?
The Midway Panthers, they have a really good receiver in Junior Thornton. He had 10 receptions for 167 yards. No touchdowns, though. They had all the touchdowns on the ground last week. Permian needs to play good defense. They need to play good. their running game's going to be okay. They run a triple option offense.
Yeah,
Matt,
it's
isn't
almost
that right?
it's almost like a wing T triple option thing where they can almost like similar to what the El Dorado Eagles run. You get the triple option, but there's still that option of a big play pass. They said that what's his name, Thornton here. I mean, they're going to have to play some defense against him, and it's going to be a real big test because what Permian has this year is going to be a real big chance to win the Little Southwest Conference. But to do that, they're going to have to beat a really good Midland Legacy team that we saw last week, and beating teams like Waco Midway and teams like that, it's going to really bode well for you when you're playing out in this long season.
Yeah, Midway's got 3 real good defenders out there. They've got Adrian Melvin at strong safety, and Clendenden at linebacker, and Esram Martinez at outside linebacker. So you need to run that defense away from them. They had somewhere like 30 tackles last week. Need to be careful. And they're going to play defensive ball all game.
All right, so especially, I mean, I don't know. I guess I need to look. I don't know. Is it raining out there in the Permian? Do we know? I'm not sure. But let's go ahead and bring in our picks. This was one of the most controversial one, or like, I guess, not a variety of picks, I guess. No one really was on the same page. It was just about even 3-4, but I stuck with the latter. I chose I chose Waco Midway to beat the Odessa Permian Panthers tonight. I just think that, when we start playing these teams that are out of West Texas, some things can go bad in a hurry, and what that is speed and athleticism. And from what I've seen, from what I've heard about this Waco Midway team, they're going to be really tough against those Panthers. If it is raining out there, it may bode a little better for I say Panthers. These are both Panthers, but it will bode better for Permian. But either way, I went, me, Ernesto, Chadwick, Sam, and Jake, we all rode with the Waco Midway Panthers. But James, you chose the other way. What's going on?
I think Permian's going to play really good defense. I think their offense is going to be hard to stop. But you are right. Last year when Midland Legacy went to play South Lake Carroll, we just saw Midland Legacy get decimated just by the athleticism of that team. So you are correct there when you start playing them teams up in the Dallas area where they have all that athleticism. But, their quarterback last week, Midway's quarterback, he put up 202 yards, no touchdowns, he threw an interception. You're not going to be able to do that in this. You're not going to be able to throw an interception in this game. I think it's going to be tight. I think it's going to be close, but I do think Permian's going to pull out the win.
All right, so there you go. These are our picks right now. Just to give everybody just a heads up, these theme and investment picks that we are giving y'all, we've been keeping count. We kept count of week 1. Yantis Green actually was the one who won. He's 4-1. I'm 3-2. James, what about you? We want to talk about that?
I'm 2-3.
2-3, but
El Dorado, what do you want me to do? Pick against Christoval, my alma mater? Come on, give me a break.
2-3, but hey, either way, that's still pretty good. We're keeping count. We want to let y'all know. We're going to stay honest with y'all. That was our picks for the Odessa Permian Panthers. Let's go ahead and move on to the next game. But before we do, we want to kind of talk about it a little bit. We have scores page every single week, and we go off social medias, different apps and football stats and all these kinds of stuff.
We're sorry is what we're trying to say.
Yeah, and last week, one of these teams, we had a score for them on Friday night, which was way out of the realm of we said they lost really bad. We definitely heard from you guys, so we know that you guys are watching. And because of that, we're going to send somebody out there tonight because this one's going to be a really interesting game. We did end up changing that the next day, and Miles did kick the dog out of the other team.
It was pretty much just a flip-flop on the score, pretty much.
Yeah, exactly. But since I just went ahead and broke it, let's go ahead and talk about it. It's the Miles Bulldogs versus the Sterling City Eagles. Sterling City, this is their second 11-man game of the season since moving up. And we'll see what happens. The first game, they won by 1 million, James. But this Miles Bulldog team is no joke as well. What did you find out this week when you were digging up on these guys?
No, I talked to Trey Cisco earlier. I think I talked to him on Monday or Tuesday, and he had a whole bunch of good things to say about his team. He had they're taking to the 11-man really well, and he actually was hired as an 11-man coach, and he had to learn 6-man on the fly. And he obviously did a good job learning that because they're just 2 years removed from a state championship at the 6-man level.
Right.
And then we got to talking about just because it's 6-man, it doesn't mean it's not experience. Your guys are still being experienced getting in big games. Those are big, important games. When you start getting up into the state level for six, even though it's 6-man. And a quote he had was, if you miss a tackle in 6-man, you gave up a touchdown. And that's not necessarily a bad mindset to have in 11-man. You need to secure your tackles.
Yeah, definitely. I think last week, James, I was telling you, I said, we were watching Water Valley and they were winning by 1 million, and they're in the same situation as Sterling City is. And I said, what if you're so used to playing so hard to halftime and wanting this game to end so fast that maybe I forget that switch can turn off, right? And this Sterling City Eagles team did it last week, but you can't forget about the Miles Bulldogs. Because they've been playing this 11-man for a while now, and they know how to play it. They have a lot of returners this year. They had a good run last year.
They made the playoffs last year. Miles made the playoffs last year, and of course it was El Dorado and Christoval duking it out at the top of that district. But Miles did get in there, and they did lose to Granger in the first round, but they returned their quarterback.
But they returned a lot of people, so they're definitely a tough team to be. So this one was a hard one for me, Jace, because I know that Sterling City is always so good, and I know Miles, isn't always the best, but this last year and this year they put up some pretty good teams.
No, they have. Sterling City is gonna, they're gonna play good football. They played at Odessa Compass Academy last week, and they're just a couple years into their program, so they're kind of going through those growing pains. But I think Miles is going to win this one.
All right, let's go ahead and drop the picks there. You said you went ahead and you went with the Miles Bulldogs.
Yes, I did.
Tell us about it. You, Joe, Sam, and Jake, y'all went with Miles. Tell us why.
They returned their quarterback this year. He had a decent season last year. They returned offensive linemen. He's got 2 seniors behind him, running backs who are seniors. And I think they're going to be a really good team this year for that district. I think they're going to play really well. And Sterling City, I think this is going to be a really good test, and even Trey Cisco agrees. This is going to be a really good test for their program there in Sterling City. So I'm really excited. That defense, Miles' defense, need to corral this electric return, offensive electric playmaker, and Johnny Monreal. He had 4 touchdowns last week and like 200 yards. He went crazy.
All right, and that's exactly why that's why I was on the other fence, is because yes. Let's take it with what it is. They did not play the most star-studded team last week with the TLCA Midland team. But you know what? At the end of the day, this Miles team is not all that star-studded either. So when you're talking about the Sterling City Eagles with all their firepower and their ability to score fast, quick, in a hurry, to me, it makes me want to put them as my for sure pick for this game. All right. Let's move on to the next one, if we will, here. Don't forget, guys, this is brought to you by, Cover1 is always brought to you by All-American Chevrolet and the Autoplex. If you have a trade-in, make sure you go over there and drop it with those guys, because there's a lot of good inventory on the lot, and shoot, they could even make a special order you something if that's what you want. Also, we're brought to you by Angelo Bolt. If you need any kind of industrial supply, you know that Angelo Bolt is your spot. From fasteners to fittings to anything that you need, Angelo Bolt is your spot. Also, Double Dave's. We're going to be hungry here in a little bit. Don't worry, I'm going to go pick up some Double Dave's, get some pepperoni rolls and some of that cracked dessert pizza. I'm telling you, Double Dave's, they're over there in the Southwest Plaza. Oh, you got to go over there and get you some Friday Night Football pizza tonight. Also, Thiemann Investments. They're our pick sponsor. They're the one who's bringing you all the fun for right now on our guesses and our picks on who's going to win tonight. But you know what's never a guess? That's Thiemann Investments. They always know what to do and where to put your money to make the best out of all of your investments. So moving on to the next game, a lot of people are also talking about this one because this one is going to be a big one. We haven't seen them yet this year, but the Wall Hawks, baby. The Wall Hawks are back. They're back to doing their thing over there at Wall Hawk Stadium. It's about to be Clayton Waisu Stadium next week, but for today, it's still Hawk Stadium. They're going to be taking on the Cisco Lobos. James, I know that you've ventured out to Wall a couple of times to talk about all kinds of stuff. What is exactly going on there with Coach Guy and those guys?
Well, we heard they were going to run it or throw it a little bit more this year. and they ended up running it 50 times last game, but they had 575 yards on the ground.
Jeez.
And I went to the Holly and Cisco playoff game last year. I think it was 3 rounds deep, which was a fantastic game. So Cisco's not going to be a pushover, and they run the ball a lot too. They had 305 yards on the ground last week. And they brought Hunter Long, their quarterback. He came back and he rushes. He's a dual threat. He rushes out of the quarterback position a lot. So Wall's going to have to learn how to play with that.
James, I was telling our stringer earlier who was going out to Wall, I was saying, Ernesto, you might be going to the best game possible. If you like football, this is going to be the game because it's going to be raining. They used to have back in the day when I first started, they used to have the grass field. This would be beautiful on a grass field day because the mud would be flying. But, either way, it's going to be raining. It's going to be triple option, fullback dives. I mean, just nasty play from those guys up front. It's going to be a running football game, so it's going to be fun. What you got, James?
Yeah, Ernesto's the right guy to send out to this game because last week at the La Mesa Lakeview game, he was commentating the clips he sent back to us.
Oh yeah, we're getting
we're gonna have the
play-by-play, baby.
We're gonna have a good time with Ernesto out there.
That's right. So don't forget our halftime show will be 8 o'clock and 10 o'clock. But let's go ahead and pull up those picks for the Wall Hog game versus Cisco. And James, were we on the same page?
We were not on the same page.
We're never on the same page, but we are sometimes. But I don't know. This Wall Hawk team, they always have a little bit of something in my heart where I gotta rock with them. But I think when Wall has a chance to lose, it's not these early games. It's not these grind out football games. They'll never lose those games. It's the flashy games that are hard for them. So me personally, I think that they're gonna win this game, and I'm gonna say a score of probably 28-19.
I'm real close with a couple of them guys out at Wall. Coach Guy was my coach at Christoval in 7th grade, and Coach White was my football coach when I was playing JV ball out there at Christoval. So I'm not picking Cisco because Coach Guy didn't return my call this week. I'm picking Cisco because they're a playoff team. They return some players. They return their quarterback. Holly beat them by I think 3 points or a touchdown last year, and Holly went on to win state. I think Cisco has their eyes on AT&T this year, and I think they're going to take it to Wall, and I think it's going to be close. I think it's going to be a 1-touchdown game, but it's certainly going to be a good one. If it's raining, even better one.
All right, so there it is. So Jake and James, y'all are going for the Lobos. Another reason why is I'm from Levelland, and you don't spell Lobo with an E. Lobos, no Loboes. So me, Yantis, Joe, Sam, Ernesto, and Ryan Chadwick, we're going to rock with the Wall Hawks. And we'll see who's going to come out on top there.
All right,
James. Let's pitch it to this. I think we're on our very last.
On our last game, Grape Creek, or Christoval at Grape Creek.
That's right.
Both
last week, James, we got a little controversial when we started talking about these Cougars.
Yeah, what am I supposed to do?
Yeah, but they're playing a Green Eagle team again. Does it make you feel a little nervous?
No, it does not. Christoval, I'm graduated from Christoval. Sorry, Coach Steele. But I will keep calling you whenever you said any time, so I will keep calling you every week to ask how your team is doing. Both these teams are coming off a loss. They're both 0-1. Nobody wants to start off 0-2. And Christoval has some inexperience in their defensive backfield and their linebackers. Aside from Caden Carpenter, they're all new starters out there. And Coach Steele's team, the Eagles, they have kind of the same thing going on. So these games will be important. It's not a district game, but they are important to get your guys up to speed on some of the, playing speed. And the offense that they run there in Grape Creek is they run a single T. So that's going to be a tough offense for the Christoval Cougars to stop.
What I'm thinking here is when I watched that game last week of Christoval versus El Dorado, I'm glad to say I picked the right one in that one. I didn't pick Christoval, but at the same time, I thought the game would have been should have been better, right? The 7-0 that leaves me very worried for the Cougars because if you can't figure out how to score on teams smaller than you, when you got to play teams bigger than you, or you got to play good teams in your own division, what are you going to do to get on the scoreboard? It was only 7-0. That is crazy in this type of football and this type of year and this type of football time we're living in. I mean, 7-0. That's like you played for 4 hours and you didn't score, and they scored 1 touchdown. It's a very boring type of game. I don't want to see that again tonight. But if it's raining, that means we got to depend on a Christoval running game. I don't think so. So with that, I'm just gonna go ahead. I'm gonna go and put it up there.
That Christoval running game, they got catcher Joyner back there in the backfield.
Here, I'm gonna put this up. So with that, I'm gonna say my pick, and that is with the Grape Creek Eagles. That's right. Grape Creek went on a tear last year at the end of the season. Finished the year really strong. Brought back some really good gritty players on that defense. Like I said, if they got to go dependent on running the game, I don't know, because this Grape Creek Eagles team is hard-nosed. That's what they're taught. That's what they're taught from being a kid. They're from Grape Creek. They're all taught to be hard-nosed. Let's grind this game out. And with me, I think I'm going to go ahead and just sit with the Grape Creek Eagles. Me, Joe, Ernesto, and Chad.
Yeah, I talked to Coach Otho earlier in the week, and he said, we're not going to let a loss beat us twice. My kids are mature enough. They're going to get over it. And I've been out to some Christoval games where it's not finger pointing going on in the field. It's not he said you did this, you did that. They are communicating very well. I think they're going to do that this week. I think they're going to put that behind them, and they've learned, like, hey, we need to start getting things on the right track. And I talked to Coach Thiel as well, and he said some of the things that his team did wrong, they just shot themselves in the foot. They had mental mistakes that cost them, blown coverages, and it's just inexperience. So this will be a good game to get these kids caught up to speed.
And James, one thing is either way, whoever wins and loses, this is still not district time. So for all these games, it's just week 2, so it's plenty of time to learn. I can't be judging them too quick, but at the same time, people are who they are. So me, I judge them quick.
No, yeah, and Christoval just moved up a into District 1, so they're gonna be playing bigger schools, and Grape Creek is they're playing up classification this week to play Grape Creek. They're they're 3A, so they might see some of these type of teams in the playoffs. Now you're just gonna have to get used to playing them.
Yeah, I'm in. All right, James, do you have anything else you want to throw out there before we wrap up our pregame show? Do you have any other games that you're watching, or any other kind of thing that you want to just toss out there before we end the show? Yes,
we got Midland Legacy playing Amarillo Tascosa. That's going to be a great game if you're up in the Midland, Tascosa area. Brady's playing Mason. And TLCA San Angelo is taking on Odessa Compass Academy. I talked with Matt Jones earlier in the week, and he said, they snapped 24-game losing streak last week against Ozona. And now they're playing Odessa Compass Academy, who is kind of new to the football program and everything. And Coach Matt Jones knows, like, hey, we've been through that here at TLCA. So look for them to probably put it up on them pretty good this week.
I would have to agree with you. I think that you break a 24-game losing streak. You book TLC, or you book, who do they have that last week?
They had Ozona last week.
Ozona last week, right? And then you book an Odessa Compass team this week who hasn't really a lot of true experience. I think TLCA Eagles going 2-0.
I believe that as well. I think that as well, and that's just going to do good for your team's morale overall.
Yeah,
so
absolutely. So maybe in a few years they'll be playing at that brand new stadium with winning streaks.
Maybe.
All right, guys, this has been the COVER1 pregame show. Remember, you can catch all of this, anytime. You can go back and watch it, but we'll be back at 8 o'clock or around kind of the halftime time zone there, and then we'll be at 10 o'clock where we'll wrap you up with everything. And don't forget, we're going to have the scores page will be up all night long, which will have instant scores updates. We'll throw some highlights in there. We'll give you everything you need to know. Remember, this is brought to you by the Autoplex and the AutoZone, so make sure you go see them, say what's up to them. Also, Angelo Bolt, Double Dave's, Theme and Investments, and, just everybody else. Go see those guys, because those are good people. For all of us at San Angelo Live, this has been COVER1, just the beginning of it. This is week 2. We're going to give you more, so stay tuned. We'll see you when we come back.